Going into the quarterfinal, the defending champions were expected to handle a determined but clearly overmatched opponent. That opponent, a disciplined European side, had already exceeded expectations just by reaching this stage at all. Their own path there had been built on defense, 3 matches settled by a single goal or a shootout. A round of 32 win came via a penalty shootout after a scoreless draw through regulation and extra time. A round of 16 win followed the same pattern almost exactly, another shootout after another goalless deadlock. 2 knockout rounds decided on penalties meant this team had already proven its composure under maximum pressure. Early in the second half, that smaller side lost a player to a straight red card, a serious blow. Down to 10 men against one of the tournament's most talented rosters, the situation looked close to hopeless. Somehow, that undermanned side didn't just survive, it matched its far more talented opponent for long stretches. Regulation time ended level, an outcome almost nobody would have predicted once the red card appeared. Extra time began with the 10 men still standing, still organized, still refusing to simply fold under pressure. The favorites pushed and probed, searching for the individual moment their talent advantage was supposed to guarantee.
For a long stretch of extra time, that moment simply didn't arrive, no matter how much possession they held.
One low drive was well saved, parried away just in front of the goal line by an alert goalkeeper.
A close-range header, moments later, drifted narrowly wide of the far post under real pressure.
The first period of extra time ended exactly as regulation had, level, tense, and still deeply undecided.
Fatigue was visibly setting in on both sides by that point, muscles cramping under the accumulated minutes.
Keep that resistance in mind. What finally broke it required something far beyond ordinary quality.
In the 112th minute, deep into the second period of extra time, the ball fell to one midfielder. He was standing well outside the penalty area, with defenders closing in from multiple different angles. Rather than looking for a pass, he struck the ball first time, with minimal backswing and full commitment. The shot rocketed goalward on a rising, dipping trajectory that gave the goalkeeper almost no time to react. It flew in with pace few defenders or goalkeepers could have done much about, regardless of positioning. It was, by most neutral assessments afterward, one of the single best individual goals of the entire tournament. That goal broke a deadlock that 10 disciplined, committed men had held for well over an hour of extra effort. It gave the favorites their first lead of the match, arriving only in the final minutes of extra time. Moments later, a second goal from a different forward sealed the result beyond any realistic doubt. Final score, 3-1 in extra time against a team that had played most of the match a man light. The head coach of the winning side admitted afterward that the match had been far harder than the scoreline suggests. He specifically praised the opposing 10 men for making his own team work for every single half chance created. The losing coach, for his part, said his players had given absolutely everything they had left to give. On the surface, that scoreline suggests a comfortable win. The actual match was considerably tighter than that. For over an hour, 10 committed defenders had done exactly what elite defensive structure is supposed to do. They limited clean chances, closed passing lanes, and forced difficult low-percentage attempts from distance. It took a genuinely special piece of individual quality, not sustained pressure, to finally break that structure. That's a meaningful distinction. Most goals come from sustained pressure, eventually finding a gap in the defense. This one came from a single moment of individual brilliance that didn't need the defense to make a mistake at all. The defending team did almost everything right for the better part of 2 hours and still eventually lost. That's a hard, honest lesson about defensive football. Discipline reduces the odds of conceding, but never all the way to zero. Elite individual quality exists specifically to beat elite structure, often needing just one clean opportunity. This match offered about as clean an example of that tension as any single game at this entire tournament. For the goal scorer himself, it capped a tournament where his role had often been secondary to more famous teammates. He'd played a supporting part for most of the run, contributing steadily without claiming many of the headlines. He'd come off the bench in several earlier matches, rarely starting ahead of the squad's more decorated names. That reduced role never seemed to affect his readiness. When his moment arrived, he was fully prepared for it. It's a reminder that squad depth isn't just about who starts, it's about who's ready when a moment like this arrives. This specific goal changed that instantly, becoming one of the signature individual moments of the whole tournament. It's a reminder that tournament storylines aren't fixed in advance, no matter how the earlier rounds looked. A single moment, in the 112th minute of a single match, can rewrite an entire individual narrative. For the losing side, there's real pride available in how the match actually unfolded, scoreline aside. Playing over 60 minutes a man down against a heavily favored opponent and still forcing extra time is remarkable. Few teams at this level manage that kind of resistance, regardless of how the match ultimately finishes. It's a genuinely different kind of achievement than winning outright, but not a lesser one in a vacuum. Football history tends to remember the winning goal more vividly than the hour of resistance that preceded it. That's a natural bias in how sports get remembered, even when the fuller story deserves equal attention. Both halves of this match matter to understanding what actually happened across those 2 hours of football, the resistance and the breakthrough alike. 10 men holding for over an hour, and one moment of individual brilliance finally settling it late in extra time are both part of the exact same story. For the favorites, the result extended their run toward the semifinals exactly as their squad depth suggested it should.
But it also offered a quiet warning. Elite talent alone doesn't guarantee an easy night against a disciplined opponent.
Even with a full squad and a numerical advantage, breaking down committed defending took nearly 2 full hours. That's useful information heading into whatever came next in the tournament, regardless of the final scoreline here. Great teams don't always look dominant in every single match. Sometimes they simply look good enough, eventually.
This match was a version of that pattern, outplayed for portions of it, but ultimately still good enough to win.
That's a less flattering story than a dominant scoreline suggests, but probably a more honest one overall. Tournaments this long rarely get won purely through dominant performances in every single round along the way. Somewhere in most title runs sits a match like this one, harder than expected, decided by one special moment. Whether this specific match becomes remembered as a turning point depends on what happens in the rounds still ahead. This video won't guess how those next rounds go. Those matches hadn't been played as this was written. What's already certain is the shape of this specific quarterfinal, regardless of anything that happens afterward. 10 men, over an hour of genuine resistance, one rocket from outside the box in the 112th minute. That's already a complete memorable story on its own, independent of whatever the rest of the tournament brings. Goals like that one don't happen often, even at the highest level of the sport, even among elite players. Most winning goals come from a well-worked sequence, a deflection, or a defensive mistake somewhere in the build-up.
This one came from pure technique, struck first time, from distance, under enormous pressure and fatigue.
Extra-time football is rarely known for technical quality. Bodies are tired, and simplicity usually wins out. That makes a goal of this specific quality, arriving this late, even more unusual than it would be in the first half. It's the kind of moment slow-motion replays exist for, worth watching from more than one single camera angle. Commentators searching for comparisons reached for some of the sport's most famous long-range strikes in history. Some pointed to similarly struck volleys from past finals and semifinals, scored by some of the game's biggest names. Others noted the specific circumstances made it more impressive still: extra time, fatigue, and a set defense to beat. Context matters when ranking great goals. The same strike in minute 5 wouldn't carry quite the same weight. Whether it belongs in that exact company is a matter of taste. It was, at minimum, the best goal of this tournament. That's a genuinely high bar at a tournament that had already produced plenty of memorable individual moments. Clearing that bar in the 112th minute of a knockout match is about as good a stage as football offers. For the player who scored it, that single moment may end up defining how this entire tournament gets remembered for him.
Careers are often remembered less for consistency and more for the handful of moments that reach this level. This was clearly one of those moments, regardless of anything else that happens for the rest of his career.
It's a useful reminder of why fans keep watching even matches that look decided well before the final whistle blows.
The best moment of an entire tournament can arrive in minute 112, with almost nobody expecting it.
That unpredictability is close to the entire appeal of knockout football, decided in a single match, win or go home. There's no second leg, no away goals cushion, no next week to make amends for a slow start. 10 men held for as long as they possibly could. One moment of brilliance eventually proved too much to hold off. Both of those facts belong to the same match, the same 2 hours, and the same final scoreline. Football rarely offers a cleaner example of resistance and brilliance existing in the very same 90 and then 30 minutes. Whatever happens the rest of this tournament, this specific quarterfinal already earned its place in the highlight reel. Sometimes the best story of a match isn't the final score, it's exactly how long it took to get there.